The Baltimore Ravens have the 27th overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, and there are several areas that need attention on the Ravens roster before the start of the 2025 season. And while we won't know for sure who's available when the Ravens are on the clock at that point until we get there, there's a large pool of players expected to be available for Eric DeCosta to choose from. The real question is, who will he choose? In this video series, I'm going to give you a few options at 3 different positions that I feel the Ravens could take a swing at with the 27th pick. So go ahead and like the video if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new, and put your thoughts and opinions on who you want the Ravens to draft in the comment section down below. Let's get to it. Welcome in, everyone. This is Jordan with Ravens Flash Report, and in this video, we're going to be talking about 5 players at one of the Baltimore Ravens' most agreed-upon positions of need: edge. The need for an effective edge player for the Ravens is a must-have this offseason, either through the draft or in free agency. The good news is that this year's crop of edge defenders in the draft is fairly stacked, and the Ravens should have options to go there on day 1 or even day 2 and walk away with a potential game changer. The 5 players I'd like to discuss as potential options are Shemar Stewart out of Texas A&M, Landon Jackson out of Arkansas, Mike Green from Marshall, Jack Sawyer from Ohio State, and Princely Umanmielen from Ole Miss. The question we as fans could find out on the night of April 24th is who EDC values more. Although there might seem like few differences when looking at simply the heights and weights of these players, which only vary by 3 inches and 23 pounds overall, all 5 are very different players and even more diverse in their projected applications as pros. In Shemar Stewart, we see an athlete that only recorded 1.5 sacks through 12 games last year and 4.5 through his 3 years at Texas A&M, but flew off the charts with his explosiveness when testing at the Combine. Stewart was at or near the top 10% at his position with a 4.59 40-yard dash, a 1.58 10-yard split, a 40-inch vertical, a 131-inch broad jump, and a wingspan of nearly 7 feet. The Ravens would be, once again, banking on the insane athleticism of an outside rusher as they have before in both Owe and Ojabo. Having said that, I think that having Chuck Smith on your coaching staff might change how some fans think about going this route again, because if Smith can unlock Stewart and get him to turn his elite athleticism into production, the sky would be the limit on his potential future as a pass rusher. Landon Jackson has also showcased incredible burst and explosive athleticism with a vertical jump of 40.5 inches and a broad jump of 129, and while his 40 time is nearly a tenth of a second slower than Stewart, Jackson has shown a level of consistency in his production that Stewart simply hasn't matched. Over the same amount of games and in the same conference, Jackson has 28 more solo tackles, 51 more combined tackles, as well as 16 more tackles for loss and an 11.5 more sacks than Stewart has. Now, obviously, college success doesn't always translate into success at the pro level, but Jackson has shown a high level of consistency and growth to go along with his production, seeing his solo tackles go from 9 to 22 to 27, averaging 19.3 per season. That same trend has been seen in many of his other statistics, such as combined tackles, where he went from 23 to 44 and then 49 last year, averaging 38.6 per season. His sack production is also steady, going from 3 to 6.5 and then 6.5 again in 2024. With his solid pass rush ability coming second to his strong run defense and tackling, Landon Jackson looks more like an all-around defensive line/edge player than other options and could make an immediate impact sooner if the Ravens pick him up at 27. The third option is one that many Ravens fans will find extremely intriguing and will probably have higher on their wish list than either Shemar Stewart or Landon Jackson, and that's Mike Green. Listed at 6'3" and just over 250 pounds, Green is undersized when compared to others in his position group, and while he didn't do any of the drills besides the bench press at the Combine, of which he completed a respectable 28 reps, that seems to have done little to dissuade interest from NFL teams. Green isn't a mauler or an elite-level edge setter and may struggle initially at the NFL level when facing larger and stronger veteran offensive tackles, but what he lacks in size and strength, he more than makes up for in explosive, high-motor instincts as a pass rusher with a natural ability to get after opposing quarterbacks. Green has also showed continuous growth, going from 4.5 sacks in 2023 to leading all of college football last year with 17 in just 13 games, as well as racking up 23 tackles for loss, an improvement over the 9 he had in 2023. Needless to say, Green has a knack for getting into the backfield as well as a knack for improving. Stacking all of this on top of his ability to change direction, ability to consistently take efficient angles, his wrestling background, and his already extensive set of effective pass rush moves makes Mike Green seem like a dream player under the coaching talents of Chuck Smith, who would only improve Green's potential ceiling as well as rounding out his fundamentals to make him a three-down player. Our next potential option is Jack Sawyer from the national champion Ohio State Buckeyes. Listed at 6'4" and 260 pounds, Sawyer falls right in the middle of this group of five in terms of measurements. Unfortunately, like many other Buckeyes, Sawyer did not test at the Combine, and while that's not necessarily a knock on him, it simply means we will be focusing more on what he did on the field in 2024 rather than his testing numbers. One of the challenges in doing research on these athletes is that sometimes different databases don't show the same stats for each player. For example, according to PFF, Sawyer had 10 sacks in 2024, but according to other sources such as Sports Reference, DraftBuzz, and the Ohio State football website itself, he had 9 sacks. So we're going to go with 9 sacks. What's more important than the exact number that he had is that it steadily increased every year for Sawyer. From his 2021 season to his 2024 season, his total number of sacks increased from 3 to 4 to 6.5 and finally 9. Just like with Landon Jackson before, this trend is found elsewhere for Sawyer too, such as in his combined tackles going from 13 to 24 to 48 and then 59. His passes defended going from 1 in 2021 and 2022, then 2 in 2023 and 7 in 2024, showing growth in multiple aspects of Sawyer's game. One of the strongest arguments in favor of drafting Sawyer is the high level of competition he faced off against every year while continuing to improve. Not only that, but he's an all-around edge defender and not simply a pass rush specialist. His run defense and tackling are extremely solid, and he has what many great NFL edge rushers need to succeed, which is a high motor allowing him to chase down more mobile quarterbacks. Last but certainly not least is Princely Umanmielen out of Ole Miss. Princely isn't the shortest player in this group, but he is the lightest at 244 pounds, which could be a concern when facing off against the NFL's larger and stronger linemen. He is, however, not lacking in explosive burst, as he showcased with a 4.72 40, a 38-inch vertical, and a 10.5-foot broad jump. His shuttle and three-cone time leave something to be desired, but what matters more is the production that shows up on tape. Unlike the difference in Jack Sawyer's sack totals, it would appear that PFF doesn't track half sacks and simply awards the full sack to players, which seems a bit inflating, but that's a topic for another day and doesn't really impact our look at Princely's draft profile. We see again a positive trend in Princely's production during his 5 years in college and a significant increase in most areas over the last 3 years. Arguably, Princely's best performance came against the third-ranked Georgia Bulldogs back in November of 2024, where he recorded 5 total tackles, 2 sacks, and a forced fumble in the Rebels' 28-10 win. Princely is a player, much like Mike Green earlier, that could benefit greatly under the teaching of Chuck Smith and playing alongside guys like Nnamdi Madubuike and Kyle Van Noy. Princely is a great example of having all the athleticism and instincts you would want in a prospect and simply needing refinement and experience at the professional level to elevate his game and become a household name. At the end of the day, any of these 5 players could help the Ravens this upcoming season, but I would be lying if I said I didn't have a preferred order, should the Ravens have all 5 available at 27. My first choice is probably not surprising because it's Mike Green. I see all the tools and the want to in him to succeed at the NFL level, and I think the Ravens' culture and coaches will bring that out of him even more. My second choice would be Landon Jackson, which was not the case before starting my research on these 5 players. I see Jackson as a more complete and well-rounded player than some of the others in this group, and I feel like his ability to not only get after the quarterback, but also his edge-setting ability against the run makes him possibly the most NFL-ready player of this group. My third pick would be Princely Umanmielen. His explosiveness and ability to change direction even in the backfield are huge for me, and I think that his skill set would complement what the Ravens already have in the pass rush department. My fourth option would be Jack Sawyer, who has shown continuous improvement against some of the best competition in college. He is a solid and well-rounded player who is just as effective at stopping the run as he is at getting after the quarterback. And my final option would be Shemar Stewart. And that's not a mark against his talent, as I believe he will do well in the NFL. But the Ravens have already tried the extremely athletic but low production route with guys like Owe and Ojabo, and I guess I would be looking for a player who is more proven and less of a gamble. But, of course, the Ravens' big board will probably look different than mine, and their scouts will have more in-depth breakdowns on all of the individuals that the Ravens are interested in. This was just my take on several players the Ravens will most likely be looking at around the 27th spot that might be of interest and available. I'll be doing 2 more videos like this for the 2 other position groups that I think the Ravens front office will be targeting with the 27th pick, and subsequent players that may be available at those positions that the Ravens may be looking at selecting. Again, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a like, subscribe if you're new, and tell me which of these 5 you would take first and why down in the comment section below. As always, guys, stay safe out there and go Ravens.